Hello and welcome to episode 1341 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, September 10th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good day, sir.
How you doing?
Not too bad. I know we didn't get to meet yesterday. We're moving the Monday episode to Tuesday, but had a huge football weekend with my Lions and my Longhorns. And, couple weeks left in the regular season. I know you're chasing down a lot amongst your many leagues, and I'm having a blast, trying to keep things in place where I've got a few cash spots. I'm only chasing one title. I'm chasing two, but one of them's my TGFBI. I need to finish the job there. I've been in first for most of the year. But you, like I said, are chasing many things right now. How are you doing? Where are your nerves at with 2+ weeks left?
I feel like I'm going to need to schedule an appointment with my cardiologist. I don't have a cardiologist, but I'm going to need to get one, which is like perfect timing, right? Because I turned 40 this year. So like maybe It is time I go see a doctor, just period. But my blood pressure is so high right now. You and I were just bullshitting. Like we were going to start like 20 minutes ago. And I'm like, before we do, I just need to get this out. And I'm going to keep just saying it over and over again. Like the difference for me in what I would consider success this year is all on the line over the course of the next 20 days. Like, right?
Yeah, his range of outcomes. He's got all these teams, like 7 or 8 teams in the top 5 of their league, ranging from 1 to 5.
11.
And they
I have 11 teams.
Fluctuate.
Yeah, 11
out of that cash spot where they're in right now, or into a cash spot, or a better cash spot, or into first place. Yeah, your league's so tight, so crazy. And some of these pitchers that we're going to talk about today may have helped you get to this point. When you're talking about that many leagues, you do have some overlap with players that you liked, but you're picking up, cutting different things. Today we're going to talk rookie pitchers. We did the top 10 rookie hitters by volume last episode that we talked by plate appearance. And I was going to just do the top 10 rookie pitchers, but I won't lie to you. I had to go deeper because I had to get Jared Jones and Spencer Schwellenbach in. I already took Shota Imanaga out as like put him off to the side because he's a professional who's come over, and I know he's a rookie technically or whatever. I wanted the actual rookies, but yeah, had to get those guys in. So we went top 13. And so we're going to dive in on these guys and really where you've been this year and where you're at next year too, because a lot of these guys are going to be in focus as premier pitchers next season. And I'm curious, do we see a slump? Do we see more of the same? Do we see improvements? So quickly on Imanaga, since he is technically a rookie, excellent season coming over from overseas, 12-3 in 153 innings. He does have the most amongst rookies, 2.99 ERA. He's just been awesome. The strikeouts have been there. He flirts with a no-hitter, at least once a month, it seems. Imanaga has been better than I thought he was going to be, and I'm happy to have been wrong on that. I did get him on my second main, but it was more of kind of like I will settle for him. I can't claim to have been like gung-ho about Imanaga, but how'd you like him coming into the year, and what have you seen this year and what does it have you feeling for next season?
He was one of the few guys where I was willing to gamble on him at his price because I didn't feel like Imanaga's price ever got super high. But the stuff was always really, really good. The question for me was going to be like, okay, how's he going to adjust to just being in American baseball, in a different country, on a different schedule? And like what was, how was he going to be able to handle like command and control issues? Because we know the stuff is good. It's just a matter of can he command and control it? The control has been great all year. The command has started to slip a little bit here in the second half, where he's giving up 1.76 homers per 9 in this second half. So that's a little bit concerning to me that maybe a homer problem has emerged. And I'm going to do a study because I have kind of a hypothesis about Japanese pitchers in their second season being more likely to be injured than in their first.
That'll be interesting to see.
And so
the results.
I'm going to try to do in the offseason, I'm going to try to do kind of a research piece in which I kind of look at the second seasons of a lot of these pitchers who've come over from Japan. And I think a lot of it has to do with just kind of workload changes. You go from pitching every sixth day or seventh day,
once a week, basically.
To pitching more than that in America. Now, I think it may not be a perfect, looking at the historical data on that may not be a kind of a perfect analogy to today's game, because there are so many teams that go 6-man rotations now.
That's also a good point, but it is still different, right? And if they're as good as they're advertised when they get the big contracts, they're rarely going to be in that 6-man. So, Shota isn't. Yamamoto might be because of the way the Dodgers are working things right now. But, Kodai Senga eventually got into a situation where he's pitching every fifth, and now he's hurt in second season, so he's going to be a data point.
Ohtani's second season was the Tommy John season.
And there is a decent history now where you can really start to take a look at that. Now, you also have to control for like the guys that came over in their 30s. They were already more prone to getting hurt. So there's a lot of things to mix, including Imanaga himself, right? Don't forget, he's not a baby. And that's why I put him off to the side here for the rookie situation, because he's 30. He'll be 31 next year. My biggest concern has come to fruition. I was concerned about the homers, but he built such a nice cushion that even when they did come, when the regression hit, he had a 0.84 ERA to fall back on through his first 9 starts. Do you know what kind of cushion that built for Imanaga? He has a 4.15 ERA since then with 97 Ks and 100 innings. That's not bad, but that's not every time running out in a 12-teamer or a 10-teamer, that's for sure. He still lives mostly in the rotation, but it could look a lot different if he'd have had like even a 2.84 ERA in those first 9 starts, Justin, instead of an 0.84. But he gave up 3 homers and kind of ran that tightrope, but we knew they were coming. 20 homers in these subsequent 17 starts. I will have to go off of what the price is for Imanaga. If it comes in hot, I'm going to balk. If he's just kind of like fine and goes up a little bit from what he was last year, but nothing crazy, I could see myself being in on Imanaga. But the home runs, that problem is not gone for me. That is very prominent, and it will continue to make him similar to the guys I like in Minnesota, where they got the Ks, they don't want guys, and they give up too many homers. I talk about the profile all the time. Ober, Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, they all run it over there. Imanaga runs similarly, and I guess my one question for you would then be, can he improve his Ks? Let's say he doesn't get hurt, which is going to be your concern as you do the write-up and everything. Because Ober and Ryan bring, like upper 20% K rate. He's at 25, Imanaga. That's like right there. It's good, but can he dial that up so that you can take on some of that home run risk a little bit more comfortably? Or is he going to be a strikeout per inning, good whip? ERA is going to fluctuate based on the homers with Imanaga.
I mean, if you look at what he's done in the second half, he has a 15% swing strike rate, which
it's nasty.
And it's, he gets swings and misses out of the zone. He doesn't give up too much contact in the zone. I do think that there is a 28-29% strikeout rate kind of underneath the surface for a guy like Imanaga. So if when I do the research, it shows me like, hey, it's hit or miss. Like there's no greater chance that a guy's going to get Tommy John, coming over from Japan in their second or third season than it is for, a player coming up, through high school, college, and the minor leagues, then I'm going to be in on Imanaga. Like I absolutely think he's already kind of like a second tier ace. And I think he has the ability to be a first tier ace.
So you would pay a top 100 pick for Imanaga per se?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't
have
any problem.
He's 128 on average this year in the main event, Imanaga, and he went 88 in the pull hitter draft.
That feels really good. I
don't have a problem with that. I was worried that he might be like top 60, top 50 because of the ERA. This is a very savvy draft, and they kept him in a price range that I'm comfortable with. He went in between Tanner Bybee and Michael King, and I think you can look at the three of them and say, I have different uses for all three, but they all should go in that general vibe.
If you look at his splits, he's really had one bad month. His June was
June
he had a 5.67 ERA, and then since the All-Star break, his ERA is 3.04.
And that had a 10 earned run outing.
Yeah. That one bad outing.
The other ones, 3 of them were excellent, and the other was a lucky one. He actually blew a start against the White Sox, Imanaga did, where he gave up 5 runs in 4 1/3, but only 1 was earned. So he salvaged it, but we were hoping for 8 scoreless against the White Sox there for Imanaga. So yeah, that 10 Ernie is doing quite a bit of the heavy lifting on that ERA rise, and that's fair. So let me go since then. It's a 3.03 ERA. And it is still with 13 homers in 12 starts. So the homers are still the issue, though. And I will say this. I glossed over the 10 earned run outing, not on purpose, but I just hadn't recognized that when I was doing those numbers. It doesn't change my general outlook about the ERA volatility, though. I still think his ERA range, Imanaga's, is up to like the high 3s, low 4s. Like at the bad end, but you'll get a good whip with it. You'll get Ks, and you should get decent win probability with the Cubs. I'll still take him in the top 100, but I'm not going to project him for better than like a 3.50 ERA. I can't.
I think I'm going to have him probably a little bit lower than a 3.50 ERA, but like 3.40. 3.
So we're general range. Range. Okay, we got to go though because we weren't even supposed to talk about him. Gavin Stone. I loved Gavin Stone coming into the year, and I feel pretty good about that love. Now, he's on the IL just recently, but what you have gotten is the most innings from a quote-unquote traditional rookie, I guess, 140 1/3, 3.53 ERA, 121 whip, and 116 strikeouts in those 140 innings with 11 wins as a Dodger. Now, he has become a bit of, before the injury, he became a bit of a stalwart for them. They needed to turn to Gavin Stone every 5th day because guys were dropping like flies. He was the rock for a moment there. Now it's his turn on the IL, unfortunately, but he's had a good season. The reason I was bought in was first off, I wasn't going to be pushed off of Gavin Stone from the 31 innings from last year. I did not give a crap about how poorly that went. I still like the swing and miss. I like the changeup. I will say though, and Nick Pauly brought this up as a concern of his when we talked about Gavin Stone, and he wasn't really as big of a fan, was like, what else does he have besides the changeup? And frankly, I did not have a good answer to that coming into the year. I was just so bought in on the changeup. Changeup plus Dodgers equals and low draft price equals buy Gavin Stone was kind of what I was using. It was very rudimentary. I will freely admit that. However, he's brought the slider along this year to being a good pitch with the changeup. Still at a 12% swing and strike rate. It doesn't translate into a lot of Ks though. This is another study. I'm doling out other people's work instead of doing it myself. But if you get a bug up your ass to do another study, what about these guys that have these strong strikeout rates, but they don't translate to the strikeouts? Are they getting like early count whiffs and they can't get late count ones? Because I don't understand. Because now we're 170 innings into Gavin Stone's career, and he's got a healthy 12% mark, 12.2 swing and strike rate. And like we say, the general rule is 2 to 2.5x that number is an expected strikeout range. Well, just the 2x is 24%, and he's a 19% career strikeout rate guy. So I don't know what that disconnect is with Gavin Stone, but I've been talking a lot. Bottom line is I still love him. It's been a good season. I'm going to be bought in next year because I don't think the price will surge. But what do you think that disconnect is between the swinging strike and the strikeouts with Stone?
I don't quite know. I mean, I think part of it is like he has a plan to, especially when he gets behind in a count, to like try to get out of the at bat quicker, and that is to
not worry about
more
punchies.
Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of his strikeouts come from when he's ahead in the count, which makes sense, right? Hey, I've got an early striker, 2 early strikes, like I'm going to go for it. So, but it feels like it is either a coaching thing or it is a game plan thing. Like, hey, like if I fall behind at all, I'm just gonna put it in the zone and let you hit it and let my defense bail me out. Because he does, when you watch a pitch, he's got the stuff to strike guys out, and
especially that changeup, and now the slider this year.
Yeah, so I do wonder if, and maybe I'll look at the splits a little bit more. It definitely is going to have to be like one of those things where I sit down in the off season and I kind of go start to start and like take a look at some of these starts where like, it was against Seattle. So like, you don't want to like overrate because Seattle strikes out against everybody, but like,
but
10
what did he
strikeouts
do to get those 10 that he could maybe bring? Did he do anything different because they are so prone to Ks? No, I think it is fair because he just dropped 17 against Seattle, Tampa Bay. You and I would get 5 apiece against those two teams. They are horrendous. They are the East-West version of each other in terms of offenses you want to pick on. And then he faces the blistering Arizona Diamondbacks, 5 runs, 4 strikeouts in an IL stint. So, if this is the end of the road for his season, let's say they just baby him, he comes back, gets like 2-3 inning starts to tune up for the playoffs, but effectively he's done. Where do you think Gavin Stone's price point is going to be next year, excluding a potential playoff tax? Because if he cooks there, we know that could raise the price. But let's just say he does come back, he pitches in the playoffs, but he only puts up 6-7 more innings this year because they don't care about pushing him in September. Medium playoff. What are you paying Gavin Stone next year to be on your fantasy team?
I don't know. The hard part is, what do the Dodgers do with their rotation next year?
That's a fair point. I guess right now we would live under the assumption that he gets a role, but that could change on a dime, and I think that is fair to bring up. But right now they won't have Flaherty, so it'll be
Kershaw's probably, like, if he is factoring into the rotation,
half
like
season max.
It's a half season, like you're not too worried about it.
So Yama, Glasnow, Buehler, Miller, those are 4 locked, right? Because I know Buehler, Miller sucked this year. They're coming right. Don't even pretend that they're not going to be in the rotation.
They're at least going to get the opportunity to be in the rotation to start the season. So is Stone their 5th guy, and then he's locked in because you need 6, but you've also got Dustin May coming back next year.
Tony
Gonsolin coming. Or is Gonsolin a free agent?
Oh, he actually might be a free agent. That's a fair point.
I'm double checking that right now.
River Ryan will be out all next year, so he's not coming back.
No, Gonsolin's still under team control.
Okay, so he's going to be around. Emmett Sheehan and River Ryan are out of the picture next year. They'll be late season, if anything. But Gonsolin and May are 2 to bring up. Michael Grove is still around. Landon Knack is the guy filling in right now, doing some things. I picked him up over the weekend.
I would be shocked if they didn't at least give Stone the opportunity with the way he's pitched. And it's always kind of a little scary to see a guy go on the IL at the end of the season for an arm issue. But this honestly feels like Dodgeritis, where they're like, hey, listen, you've thrown 140 innings or something like that this year, and we need you for the playoffs, and you seem like you might be hitting a little bit of a rookie wall, so we're just going to let you rest, and we'll ramp you back up right before the playoffs.
He threw $132 last year. Gavin Stone did. He's at $140 this year. They know they need October innings. You put a 1.25 accelerator on those in terms of what they generally do to the arm. Smoltz, Verlander, I'll appeal to authority on that. I believe them that is the kind of cost that it is for pitching playoff innings. So it seems like they want to save Stone here. If
anything outside top 150, I think I'm in. Like
I was going to say, because he went 230 in the main this year. I think if I can get in that 140 to 180 range, I'm going to be buying Stone, even with the risk of him losing out.
And because they're going to be the Avengers on offense again.
Absolutely.
So like even if he can just oh
my God, sorry to interrupt you. We fucking forgot Ohtani.
Oh, I thought I mentioned Ohtani coming back.
I didn't. So if you did, I glossed over it. I'm sorry.
They're still going to go 6 deep in the rotation.
I know. But then, do we really think they're not going to sign anyone? Because now we talked about the 4 that locked: Glasnow, Yamamoto, Buehler, Miller. Now put Ohtani there. Now Stone, May, Gonsolin, and are they going to sign nobody? I think they signed at least 1 guy. So now we're at 9.
But we know both May and Gonsolin could be both Imagine throwing May and Gonsolin in your bullpen as they're coming back, and every single one of those guys has injury concerns. Every single one.
They haven't been able these last 2 years. They've been short of these power teams that they've had pitching wise, where they have 10 viable starters. I think they get back to that next year.
Yeah,
I will say it doesn't take me off Stone. Because we know that they're never going to be the team that runs 5 guys for the full year.
He's been their most reliable pitcher all season long.
They're not going to just be peace after that. No, that's not going to happen. So
he might be in a Gonsolin role or something like that.
That's okay.
Where he's maybe not starting every week, but
Right.
like he's giving you meaningful innings. He's soaking up a ton of wins. And if there is confusion coming into draft day on who's their starters and who not, it's just going to drop his price to a point where it's just way too affordable.
Where I like him even more. And which has happened to Gonsolin in the past. So it's great that you invoke his name, because we've seen him get discounted due to the uncertainty, and it was a fair concern, but then you snap that guy up at the further discount. So yeah, I'm in on Stone pretty much no matter what, unless the price goes crazy. I don't think it will, especially with this injury thrown in last second here. And he did not go in the pull hitter draft, which is again 11 rounds of 15 teams. Quick maths for you there. That's 165. That's already out of the range that Justin and I want. So it feels like we're going to be having some Gavin Stone next year. Now, if I had you make a list of the most innings for rookies coming into the year, you would have put Yamamoto, Imanaga there, 2 gimmies. Sure, I would have said now put actual rookies. You'd have put Skeens.
Yeah.
You probably would have landed on Jared Jones. We were talking about him before the season started. Your boy Kyle Harrison had a decent angle on some innings. I don't know how many players you would have had to list our next guy.
I never would have got there.
I know that you didn't even know who the hell he was, because I didn't either. And we're two pretty smart guys, at least in terms of roster knowledge. You can quibble on how knowledgeable we are about baseball, whatever. I don't care if you want to roast us there. But as far as knowing guys, we know guys. We didn't know who the frick Mitchell Parker was, dude. And here he is with the second most innings among rookie pitchers this year, having a hell of a season. And he impressed early and often. Remember, he hit that double dip against the Dodgers and Astros out of nowhere. Who's this guy? Boom. Drops 5 innings, 2 runs at LA against the Dodgers. Okay, that was a fluke. No, 7 scoreless against Houston with an extra pitch thrown in because that he didn't show against the Dodgers. And all of a sudden, he's off to the races. And frankly, he didn't even give up more than 3 runs until his 13th start of the year, Mitchell Parker. Now, the book has since gotten out on him, and things have been a bit bumpier. Over his last 14 starts, he's got a 5.80 ERA. Okay, they figured him out a little bit. But there are good starts mixed in there, and there are avoidable duds in there. Like if you started him against San Diego, that's your fault. I don't feel bad for you. If you started him at Milwaukee, again, look in the mirror, please. At Philly, when he gave up 9 earned, what were you doing? By then, especially, because he had a 3.83 ERA by then, like the shine had worn off. If you were starting Mitchell Parker at Philly, you're an idiot. And again, when you're playing this game, you have to take out the good starts that against good teams that you would have missed too. So you'd have missed the 5 innings, 2 earned at Arizona. Okay, I'll sacrifice that. The 6 scoreless against Milwaukee at home, you'd have sacrificed that. Bottom line here, I'm not going to run through his whole game log. There's been good even in the latter half of the season as Mitchell Parker's been found out a little bit. What do you make of the composite here? Is he a 15-team only guy? Is he an NL only guy? It's been a solid rookie season, but certainly not one that screams future ace. But is there a workhorse potential here for Mitchell Parker?
So there were 328 draft champions leagues this year.
And he didn't go in a damn one.
He didn't go in a single one. So anyone saying that they were on Mitchell Parker coming into the season is a goddamn lie.
And if you're not related to him and you're saying that, we are calling stone cold bullshit on that.
We're talking 700 picks or whatever it is, like in 328 15-team leagues, and not a single. Like Mitchell Parker's dad doesn't play fantasy baseball.
Clearly, because he didn't go anywhere. Yeah, and again, 443, 131. He's not been a god. This is deep league fodder here with Mitchell Parker, but he's been pretty solid, and this looks like something to maybe build on a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, in the second half, he's been much more Mitchell Parker-esque, at least what we thought Mitchell Parker was coming into the season. At the same time, like he still has 46 strikeouts and 43 2/3 of an inning. He's just been much more hittable, and he doesn't really get a lot of ground balls. So he's given up a lot of fly balls and a lot of line drives, which has been kind of a problem for him. I think Mitchell Parker is an interesting guy, but like I don't think he's anything more than like a back end of the rotation type of dude that soaks up a lot of innings.
I think he's a DC guy. I think I'm drafting Mitchell Parker and some DCs at a very fair price. This is not going to be an expensive player because he's probably not going to be great. Like, let's just be honest about him. Just because he's second on this list doesn't mean he's the second best. I'm just going in order of innings counts here. So, I think he's deep league fodder. If he can kind of piece some things together with the command or with the control that he has and find a little bit more command, then maybe we have something more than what we've seen. But it's probably more of a standard streamer, even in 15 teams. So Mitchell Parker, great season though, came out of nowhere and put up 2.2 WAR for the Nats. The Nats are building something, by the way. If he's their fifth starter with all the others, like that's a solid fifth. I will say that, and so they could be working on some good things over there.
I think if he makes a pitch mix change, he's just so fastball
right. He needs
heavy
to figure out what works actually, and
a
lower the fastball.
It's a legitimately bad fastball.
Yes.
He's got a really, really good slider, and he only throws it like 10% of the time. So
he really needs to lean on all three secondaries, the slider, splitter, and curve. I think all need to go up. He's a 50% fastball guy. That's just not going to succeed when you have a 93 mile an hour fastball that doesn't move that well. So you're right about that with Mitchell Parker. But deep leagues only. So don't worry about the flaws as much. If you need some innings, he could be your dude. And Justin, you specifically, you've been taking a Nat deep in your DCs for years.
Perfect guy for that. That's why I had so much Jake Urban.
That's right. You love to get the next Nat up instead of Patrick Corbin. Now you can take Mitchell Parker.
There you go.
Let's go to perhaps the AL Rookie of the Year. And if the season trajectory was flipped and he was doing what he did in the first half now, it would be Luis Gil, because the narrative would be, oh my God, look at what he's doing here in the second half. But unfortunately, he took the other trajectory where he was great immediately and he's kind of slowly come down a little bit, hit the rookie wall, been figured out a little bit, et cetera, et cetera. Bottom line has still been fantastic. If you drafted Luis Gil, on my recommendation, I got that one. But I got to take the dubs when I get him, Justin. 3.24 ERA, 116 WHIP, 13 wins in 130 2/3 for Luis Gil, 28% K rate, but also a 13% walk rate. So there's the fly in the ointment. It's more fly. It's more than one fly. It's a few flies in the ointment, but they all scream walk rate. Can he continue to succeed walking nearly 5 per 9 with Luis Gil?
I mean, he's 6 per 9 in the second half. So can he? Yes. I mean, Blake Snell has shown he can be a really, really effective pitcher over long stretches.
But do you think Gil does that same thing where there's more purposeful walks?
I do think that there are times in which he makes but I also don't think
I think you can make that case, by the way. I think that is a fair case to make.
I don't think he has the type of I don't think he has it's weird to say. I think Blake Snell actually has pretty decent control for the most part.
I totally agree with what you're saying.
He makes a decision to go out. I don't think the Luis Gil has that necessarily.
And that's what I was trying to get to.
Decision. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So do I think he can make it work? Yes. Will he make it work as a much different kind of subject? Here's the thing, his command is so good that even when in the second half where he's walked 19 batters in 28 innings, he's only given up 3 home runs.
Because when he misses, it's usually something that's not going to hurt him. And that's the beauty of Gil with that wild. It's the classic effectively wild. We should make a podcast called that. That's a cool name for a podcast.
No one's ever thought of that name, right?
I think we could do something with a podcast called that.
Effectively Wild. Yeah.
I think we put that in your brain. We're going to create that in the offseason.
Want to host that.
They probably would. I really think we've landed on something here. So
we're going to
mark that for later.
Take that up the flagpole.
So anyway, Luis Gil is effectively wild. Has been figured out a little bit in the second half, but is still delivering good starts. In fact, just off the IL, 6 innings of 1 hit ball against the Cubs on my fucking bench. Anyway, how are you feeling about him for next year then?
I feel like he's one of those guys that if I drafted Luis Gil, I need a Logan Webb.
Right.
You know,
To balance out the walks, you're saying.
yeah, to balance out the walks, or even like a Bailey Ober, right? Like,
I was going to say him actually, and fitting for you, of course, that's your buddy.
Yeah, my dude. So I have no problem drafting Heel. I think it'll really depend on what his price is. I think he's one of these kind of guys that could be vastly overpriced,
Right.
because the composite ERA looks so good, and the strikeout numbers look so good,
and he has the flash. Exactly.
Yeah, people forget about, hey, whip is a category too. But if you pair him with a really good whip guy, then I think you might be in a position where you can kind of just balance it out on your roster construction and be okay. And I do think we're also talking about a guy who, yes, like he has been in and out of the majors for a little while now, but he's still only 26 years old. And
right,
like
he's still just getting going.
Yeah, like he has not thrown a crap ton of innings at the major league level. We're talking about a guy who's got a career 164 innings. And so like, I still think there's plenty of growth to be had. And if he can kind of learn to kind of harness that control a little bit more, like there's no reason why he can't be a top 10 starter at some point in his career. So
right. I agree.
I'm totally fine taking the gamble on Luis Heel. You just want to be smart with your roster construction.
I was actually really surprised. This might have been when things were at a fever pitch of concern in August. I forget when they started the draft. I think it was in late August, right? The pull hitter draft, because Luis Heel went 156. And don't forget, he was on the IL from August 21st to September 5th. And so I think it was going on during then. And listen, we're all prisoners of the moment. I'm not shading anybody in that draft who let Luis Heel go. You're not thinking front of mind to take him because things weren't going well at that moment. I don't think that's going to be where his ADP is, 156.
No,
I think it's going to be closer to 100. And just to put that into context, Spencer Strider went 99. He didn't pitch shit this year. Neither did Brandon Woodruff, who went 102, and neither did Kodai Senga, who went 105. The three guys right around 100 didn't pitch a damn thing this year.
I would take Heel above all of those guys except for maybe Strider, depending on what Strider looks like.
Same.
So I would definitely take him over Woodruff, who there have been reports that he may not pitch again. And then early on. Now,
okay.
They're like, but that was in the range of outcomes that like his career is over.
Right, that would suck, dude.
I hope that's not the case because I love Woodruff too. But like Senga, like there's no way Senga or Woodruff end up on my teams next year unless I'm getting them outside the top like 300 picks, which just clearly will not happen.
But clearly not going to happen here if we're seeing this. So yeah, I like Luis Heel. I think that price point is fair. It needs to be higher, or not higher than that. It needs to be high, which I think that is a high price because his upside is very rich. There is risk, and I'm with you. Make your team construction work around somebody like Luis Heel. Don't also take Blake Snell. Don't also take Freddie Peralta and Garrett Crochet, right? Like, don't put all the walk guys on your team. Your whip will be horrendous.
Yeah.
Let's go out to Oakland. And they're starting to put some things together. And I tell you, classic Spore a year early. Because this is what I thought they were going to do last year when I was telling you there's no way they're going to put up back-to-back dog shit 100 loss seasons. They don't stay down that long. They haven't had back-to-back 100 loss seasons in like ever. Actually, no, it had been since the 1920s. And I was talking all tough to you because I'm like, they just don't stay down that long. Well, they stayed down an extra year. But this year they're 62 and 82. They're a regular bad team, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel with a lot of interesting players, including this guy, Mitch Spence. He's surprising here at number 4 on our list. Technically 5 if you include Imanaga. I'm saying these without Imanaga, just so everyone knows. The rankings are without Imanaga. So this is our number 4 guy here, Mitch Spence, and he's putting up a solid season. It's in the Mitchell Parker realm of ratings. 4.42 ERA, 137 WHIP, sure, 111 Ks and 130 innings, but the second half has certainly been better for Spence, and I think he's putting some things together to where I think with Parker, we kind of, Dennis Green, he is who we thought he was in the second half. Like, we thought he was a run-of-the-mill organizational prospect who could be decent. With Spence, I think there's a green arrow up with him. I know the whips are ugly, but if he can kind of figure a little bit of that out, I think there could be another level here. Now, it could all get thrown up into the air with Sacramento and how that might play. And we just learned some details, by the way, if you didn't listen to our last episode, that we might be wrong on saying Sacramento is going to be a crazy bandbox because they might have a humidor cooking that kind of mitigates things. And the park factors for the Sacramento, what are they called? River Cats? You're muted, but yeah, the Sacramento River Cats, their park factors their park factors are neutral to pitcher friendly. So he might not be losing everything by going from Oakland to Sacramento, but don't worry about that part right now. What about Mitch Spence as a pitcher? Is there something to build on here, or am I overstating the case with Spence?
No, I think there is something to build on here. You look at like kind of the change in approach and attack for a guy like Mitch Spence in the first half. Like he was walking very few guys, but he was giving up too many home runs in the first half. Then he decided, hey, listen, I'm gonna just walk guys if I get behind in the count.
Right.
And I'm gonna let guys get on base, and then I'll go after the next guy. And so the walk rate went up, but the home run rate was cut in half in the second half. Now, the only issue with that is he has been much better on the road this year.
Surprisingly,
sorry, much better at home this year, especially with a home run ball. He's given up only 6 home bombs in 72 innings and 10 away bombs in 58 innings. So
you're definitely right about that. But most recently, the reason I was like head nodding you there on that one was down the stretch here, he has been really good on the road, except for one bad start at the Mets and the Phillies one. Those two in the second half have been the duds on the road for Spence, but he's been pretty good on the road in the second half specifically.
Yeah, so I'm definitely interested. I don't think he's going to cost very much.
I don't think it'll cost anything.
And I do think there are going to be people who thought exactly what we thought a few weeks ago, which is, it's a PCL park that he's moving to, and it's going to be great for hitters and bad for pitchers. And if Derek Hardy and other really smart guys in the industry are going to do like run numbers,
Jeff and them, they're going to run the data.
Like if it comes back as a neutral park, I might be interested in Mitch Spence as kind of a late guy.
Yep.
Now, again, he's going to really, factor into roster construction issues, right? Like if you started off with a bad whip guy, even in the second half when he's been better, he's got a 145 whip.
Yeah.
So
he
gives
can't
up
walk
a
that
lot
many
of hits and walks too many guys.
He'll need to figure it out, but we're seeing an attack plan. Like you said, early season, Mitch Spence was like, here it is, hit it. I'm going to live in the zone, and I just don't want to get beat with walks. Well, that just wasn't working. So he did alter. He still needs to refine, but we are seeing glimpses of the Mitch Spence that made him worth a Rule 5 pick from the Yankees when they took him. So I like what he's been doing. I'm certainly intrigued enough because I don't think he'll cost hardly anything fantasy-wise. He's a DC type pick right now, and then I'll kind of see how things go in the offseason to decide if I'm going to take him in my regular drafts.
Yeah.
All right. What about Simeon Woods Richardson with the Twins? Another one of these guys that kind of started strong and maybe, landing the plane a little shakily here as far as the season goes, but still giving you something to chew on. Like, okay, we're looking at 125 innings of a 3.96 ERA, a 122 whip, 106 Ks. So, not huge Ks on Simeon Woods Richardson. Is he giving us something to build on here with the Twins, or is he falling short for you?
I really like Simeon Woods Richardson. The problem is I think he hit kind of a second half slump where
big time.
He's gotten tired. And I think people have figured out how to approach him a little bit more, and he has not adjusted back. And so he's had, in the first half he had a 3.51 ERA, and the second half it's 4.81. I've dropped him pretty much everywhere I've got him. Because it wasn't worth the risk to my ratios. I do think that he's a really interesting pitcher with a pretty full arsenal and decent stuff, but there is some concerns that hey, teams have figured him out and he hasn't been able to counter back. So to me, I think he's going to be more of a late draft flyer next year. In the hopes that, hey, maybe this was just more being tired and not used to the workload. This, as a guy, I don't think he threw a crap ton of innings in the minors last year, I believe. I don't
He threw.
Oh no, he threw
117.
17. So he threw a fair amount.
It's not bad. Yeah. He's hit triple each year, but don't forget too, like it's not a 1-to-1. The 125 innings in the majors are definitely more taxing than the 113 in the minors last year, especially when you get to August, and he is hitting the classic rookie wall for Simeon Woods Richardson. He's been rough down the stretch here, hasn't gone more than 5 innings, hasn't even reached 5 innings in his last 3, and hasn't gone more than 5 innings in his last 6. And during that time, he has at least 2 walks in each of those 5 starts. So he is fatigued right now, and it's like the worst moment for Minnesota for him to kind of not be effective for them too, because they're sputtering.
He's another one of these guys that, kind of like Mitchell Parker, that needs to pitch a little bit differently in terms of like he's another bad fastball guy. His secondary stuff is way better from a stuff plus metric than his fastball is, and so I'd love to see him. And he only throws his fastball like 42% of the time, but I'd love to see him kind of ramp up the curve and the change a little bit more, because they're better pitches, and he's not an overpowering dude. So like he needs to kind of mix a little bit better and sequence a little bit better. But Minnesota's such a good organization in terms of pitching. Like I kind of trust them. So he will be kind of a dart throw kind of guy for me next year. It'll largely depend on what his price is though.
Yeah, I co-sign all of that on Simeon Woods Richardson. I don't think the price is going to be high, so I'm probably going to end up with some shares. Again, another one of these guys that I think fits interestingly in DCs, where I want guys who have a good shot on being in rotations that can pile up some innings. I'm also reworking my entire DC strategy, so I might come back with some different names as we get into November when I start doing DCs. Let's talk Spencer Arrighetti. We have talked about him a few times recently, so we don't have to go as deep on him because he has been so prominent here in the second half. He's kind of doing the opposite a lot of these other guys, where he started horrendously. Oh my God, he was so bad. I remember exactly the moment where I was like, wow, why did I like this guy coming into the year? It was when he gave up 7 earned against the Tigers in an inning and a third. And I was like, ugh, because the Tigers offense in June was not something to be feared. And he just got absolutely trounced by them. Then gave up 3 earned and 4 and a third against the White Sox the next start. Finally took advantage of the schedule with 7 shutout against Colorado. And that was kind of the coming out party for Spencer Arrighetti. However, he's once again fallen victim to the mega dud. Now, he got saved because 6 of them were unearned, but he gave up 9 runs in 2/3 of an inning with 5 hits, 3 walks. He just has these blips here. He's got 3 of them on his ledger this year where things just fall apart, including his major league debut, 7 earned at Kansas City. We've now learned that that's not, like, Kansas City's awesome, so getting smoked by them isn't the end of the world. But Detroit and Cincy running him up, that's kind of tough. Like, Cincy has not panned out how we thought, and Detroit's just a bad offense. So Arrighetti has those downs, but the highs are awesome. The funny thing is those duds have stung his ratios so much. He has a 4.82 ERA and a 1.43 WHIP, despite a very strong 28% K rate and then a modest 11% walk rate. I said in my write-up today, I was like, he's the best 4.82 ERA pitcher going, because like there's a lot of talent there, but the composite numbers suck. I think this could keep his price down too. So what do you think about Arrighetti? What we've seen this year with the duds really stinging his numbers, and then for next year, buying in on after a full season.
I really like Arrighetti, and I'm gonna be in on him next season. So like, in spite of the fact that Arrighetti may single-handedly be the reason why I don't win labor, that he also has helped propel me to have a shot to win labor, right? So like, if you just look at the second half, I'm not even going to cut off this last start where he just got obliterated and gave up 9. It was only 3 earned runs.
Only 3. So he got like, it's still bad. 3 earned and 2/3.
So I'm not even going to cut that off. But in the second half, he has a 3.40 ERA, and he's striking guys out at a 31.5% clip. Like he just, like it's unreal what he has done. I don't think he's a 3.5 pitcher necessarily. He's probably more like a 3.6 or 3.7 type of guy. But I think you're going to get a ton of strikeouts. There are going to be bumps in the road that you don't see coming, because when you lose control in the way that Arrighetti can, there are just going to be these blow up outings. It's very similar to like Blake Snell, where like, hey, like he can throw you a perfect game one night or a no hitter one night, and then the next night he doesn't make it out of the second inning. But the upside is so great with those strikeouts, and he can control things well enough in the majority of his starts that I think he's going to be a really, really good fantasy pitcher down the stretch. And it looks like that Houston is finally like fully committed to giving him an opportunity. So I'm going to be in on Arrighetti next year, and hope that he kind of just continues to kind of emerge as a pitcher, because we're talking about a guy that is only 24 years old, and like this is his first real taste of the majors. So he was a guy I was not in on for a large part of the season, and I picked up for a couple good streams and have kept with and really profited. So I really like him.
Spencer Arrighetti's brought a lot of teams some goodness despite those composite numbers, and those composite numbers will actually work in our benefit if you're a fan of his, because I do think they'll keep the price down. Now, the homer risk is there because he's a fly ball guy. Yeah. And he gives them up. And the walks are a problem too. Like, there are things to fix. But I also trust Houston a good bit. I mean, look what they did with Kikuchi. They changed him on a dime, and they found themselves something big. It's almost as if that trade was fine. I said it right at the moment. But anyway, the Trevor Rogers one wasn't. And I backed up that trade too. So one up, one down as far as my trade analysis there. All right, let's do one more here, and then we'll save the other 6 for tomorrow, because we do have a little bit of a hard out. And we'll end on a guy that you get to watch pretty prominently every 5th day in San Francisco with Kyle Harrison, or at least you were until he got hurt, of course. So he's on the IL with shoulder inflammation, but prior to that, 124 in the 3rd innings with a 4.56 ERA, 134 WHIP, 1.3 homer, 22% K, and 8% walk. If you had told me to guess rates for Kyle Harrison, I would have put the strikeouts higher and the walks higher. So I like that he's kept this 8% major league walk rate, because we had him coming in as like a double-digit guy. In fact, the projections still say 10% if you round up, 9.8, 9.5. I thought he might be a 10 to 12% strike walk rate guy, but Kyle Harrison has not been. However, I thought it would come with a 25+% strikeout rate. He's also not been that. Is he making a conscious effort to not walk guys by sacrificing strikeouts? What's been going on here? Because he's also allowed a ton of homers, 1.5 for his career, which includes last year's 35 innings. So we can judge him in the composite, because I think adding those innings from last year, they're very similar, and it just gets us a bigger sample. So take the 159 innings total with Harrison. What have you seen?
What I've seen is a guy that you don't know who he's going to be every time he steps on the mound. And that is start to start and inning to inning.
Does he even know? And I'm not trying to be kitschy here. I feel like
I don't think he does. I think that Kyle Harrison has the upside of an ace and the downside of a minor league reliever.
Damn, a minor league reliever even.
Yeah. I do think that his future is going to end up being in the bullpen. I think the arm is really lively, especially in short spurts. But like, you look at, like, if you go to his game log and you sort the game log by strikeouts, and then you look at the dates are all over the place. It's not like he goes on these stretches where, like, hey, 4 or 5 starts in a row, he's fantastic. Right. And 4 or 5 starts in a row, he's bad. It's, his best strikeout games have been, 726 and then 4.9 and then 8.28 and then 5.2, then 4.26 and 8.30. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. And if you watch him start to start, like I do, you go, oh, okay, this makes sense, because there are nights where he gets up on the mound and he looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball. And then there are nights he gets on the mound and you're like, this isn't a major league pitcher. And those kind of guys are guys I don't like to draft. They're scary. And it's because I've made the mistake with those kind of guys that I don't get to see on a night-to-night basis, right?
The whole meme of you see somebody who's good looking but problematic, and you're like, I can fix her, or I can fix him. That's me with flawed pitchers. which is funny because I have no control over it. At least if you date somebody, you ostensibly could have some influence. I'm just like, they'll get better by me rostering them. I just want them to be fixed. And like guys like Harrison. So I'm with you. I've fallen for this pitcher type before.
Because you know who he is. And this is probably why he will end up probably being the starter that just kind of does this over the course of his career. The comp I'm going to give are two guys that I've loved. And I'm sure you could guess one of them for sure. But one of them's Andrew Heaney, which is...
Oh, my God. I should have guessed that one.
Yeah, right? Which is a guy that when you look at him when he is right, when he like the mechanics are good and he has a good feel for his command and control, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He can go out there and just mow down the Dodgers, right? But then, like, the next time he's in the rotation, he can be going up against the White Sox and give up 3 home runs and walk 4 guys.
Yeah.
And you go, no, like, get back to the other guy. And I don't
Where'd he go?
Yeah, I don't think he has the ability to just lock in and be that dude. The other one is Garrett Richards, which was another one of these.
Oh, my God, yes.
I really loved because I looked at the raw stuff in like stretches where I would go, okay, this is my guy. And the difference between Richards and Heaney and a guy like Kyle Harrison is that like Richards was able to put together these stretches where he was dominant for a month or 2 months.
He was, yes.
And then either injury or mechanical issues would break down and he would struggle. But to me, like Harrison will probably be a guy that sticks in rotations for the majority of his career, but probably shouldn't. And
just keep giving him chances because he has the raw stuff.
Because there are going to be times where scouts or front office guys like look at him and go, hey, on this start I saw him, he looked like an amazing guy. And then another reporter come in and he's like, oh, he's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. And they're like, how do you have to? Because you saw him on different days.
Right.
And I don't draft those guys, or at least I've learned to try not to draft those guys.
I certainly try to avoid those more often. Like I said, I've definitely fallen victim to the guys that I'm like, they're one fix away, especially if you really only have like one glaring problem. Oh, I'm a sucker for you. And that's not always easy to diagnose either. I'm sure there's times where I'm over assessing what the fix is. Like to say like, okay, one fix away, only if they fix their home run problem. That's harder to say than like he needs a third pitch, because that's pretty tangible to add a third pitch and it really helps them. To fix the home run problem, that can be literally related to all of their pitches type of vibes. So yeah, I agree with you. Kyle Harrison is in that class of guy that can be really, really frustrating. And they can also be the worst to be team streamers because you never time them, because they don't have a direct split. Like you're not just using them at home, or you're not just using them against the bad teams, because like you said, start to start, we don't really know what we're getting from Kyle Harrison, so we try to start him in the friendliest matchups, and then he'll drop 10 strikeouts on the Dodgers. Now he didn't do that this year, but that's that type of pitcher.
If you really want to like point out one of these type of Kyle Harrison or Andrew Heaney type of pitchers, go to their game log and then sort by different bad stats, right? Like,
yes,
you can't, like, if you go to Kyle Harrison, you sort by walks. Well, 1/4 of his starts this year are games in which he walked 3 or more. And if you sort by home runs, 1/4 of his games he gave up multi-homer games.
Yeah,
none of those like matches in like event.
Yeah, they did not overlap.
They're 2 separate circles, which means 12 of his 24 starts he either walked too many guys or gave up too many home runs, which kind of just shows you the volatility, right? Like of a guy that like really, if you like kind of reverse sort by strikeouts, like you've got, 7 games where he had 3 strikeouts or less, like, and that's like, and again, only one of those games where he had 3 strikeouts or less was a game where he either gave up a multi-homer or it was one where he walked 4, right? That's so brutal. like all of a sudden, like you start adding all these things in and you go, he doesn't know who he is, and I don't. More importantly, I don't know who he is.
Right.
I don't know, who
and
he
we
is,
don't know what to do
team.
with it then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know what to do, like when are you ever comfortable starting a guy? Is it only at home against bad teams? Okay, but then you're getting a pretty narrow usage frame for Kyle Harrison, and then he becomes tough to roster. So I'm with you. If he's a guy who develops, it's a train I'm willing to miss. If your Giants figure out something where they make,
I'll be happy because he's on my Giant. Right. But
you will get to benefit that way, but you don't need the headache on your team.
He won't be on any of my fantasy teams next year.
I do not blame
unless
you
the price is just so low, or somebody drops him and I stream him and like he turns into like a Spencer Getty where like hey I
but you're not seeking him in your drafts with a check next to Kyle Harrison. And I'm with you on that. So there you go, folks. We're going to stop here. We'll do the rest tomorrow. Tobias Myers, Paul Skeens, Joey Estes, Jared Jones, Jonathan Cannon, Spencer Schwalbach still coming. Don't worry. Shota Imanaga kind of got a little special dispensation there. And then Gavin Stone, Mitchell Parker, Luis Heel, Mitch Spence, Simeon Woods Richardson, Spencer Arrighetti, and Kyle Harrison. Interesting group. And don't forget, y'all, we're still going to do deeper rookie reviews in the offseason. I had somebody mention, hey, how'd you not talk about Austin Wells? It was only the top 10 via plate appearances. So as a catcher, he's a little bit lower on that list. We're still going to do
we're going to go position by position.
Exactly.
And break down every single position. So like,
and that will include a rookie section for each. Like I got words to say about my boy Willie Abreu, of course. Andy Paez, I got to get some love in. So don't worry. We'll be doing all of it. Justin, we will get back together tomorrow to finish off the last of these 6 pitchers. Until then, have a good one and don't stress out too much. Although it is a full Tuesday slate, so
no,
you will have a million games to be watching tonight.
Yeah, like it's I'm gonna be like 8 squaring it on my TV, and I'll have.
Do you watch Big Inning? Do you like the Big Inning that they do?
I don't watch that. What I do is I have 4 monitors in my office.
Oh my god!
And I have a different. Yeah, I have and I actually have another TV that I haven't hooked up yet. So like I'm at one point I will have like 8 different TVs in here and just have a different game on each TV.
I don't blame you. That's actually absolutely the way to do it. I will be keyed in on my Tigers tonight, but what else is going on? I think they're playing Colorado at home, so they'll start at a normal time. What else? We got Arrighetti, the boy, going today. I'm really interested in this Taj Bradley, Ranger Suarez, 2 guys that at periods this year have been the talk of the town, both a little bumpy. Raylo against Mackenzie Gore. I'm going to be keyed in on that. So yeah, Tuesday, I love it. We get the full slate back again. There's a lot to watch. Kirby versus Darvish. Will Darvish be ready to be good again? Evaldi, Gallen. Man, it is a really... Did you know that Imanaga and Yamamoto are going tonight?
Yeah, they're going tonight.
I did not see that. That'll be on TBS even. I didn't know they were doing a game of the week.
I'm gonna be watching the San Diego Seattle game for sure because of Darvish. I picked up Darvish and I've been stashing him. And I need to make a decision on whether or not he's usable or not. I did. Okay,
I was gonna ask you, did you start him? I didn't either. Tell me how crazy this is. Now I am chasing volume. I started Cater Montero over him because he's getting a 2-star. I know.
Yeah.
But what am I getting from Darvish? 4 innings.
No, I know.
I know it's going to be with 14 strikeouts against Seattle.
In like Montero's tonight versus Colorado, so like and it's a home versus Colorado, so like.
But it is Baltimore on the weekend.
That's the problem. You almost hope like there's a rain out.
I know,
and like dude. That gets pushed and you don't have to use it.
I'm scared.
That would scare the crap out of me.
So I sat on my hands a little too long, not to make this a whole big thing, but push come to shove, if they hadn't locked yesterday, I'd probably take Zach Littell out for Darvish and start Darvish and Montero. But I kept Littell in at Cleveland. I'm not that worried about Cleveland. I just probably would have preferred Darvish and the Montero 2-step. I just need volume. I need volume.
I also have my most picked up, I think, pitcher from this weekend going tonight in Rhett Lauder at St. Louis. So I'll definitely be keyed in on that as well. So,
I don't
Nick Martinez was fantastic yesterday. He
you scooped him?
I scooped it.
Oh,
him
nice.
and Rhett Lauder were the 2 guys I scooped in I think 6 leagues.
Nick Mart's been awesome, dude.
On the road. I'll use Nick Martinez.
Yes.
I won't use him next week because they're in Cincinnati.
Nope.
But this
full road only guy.
Yep. I picked him up for his road. kind of trip this week. So I need Rhett Lauder to do the same, and then I'll be feeling a lot better. So yeah, there's a lot of games I'm gonna be stressing, and we'll definitely. I'm thinking I have not, unfortunately, been able to do a watch party this year, but
maybe we do one down the stretch.
I'm thinking I may do a watch party on the last day of the season.
Okay.
And
I think I'm available. That'd be fun. We all start stressing and biting our nails and freaking out about. Yeah. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Because I usually do a meetup with people, but I don't think they're doing it this year. So
you have to wear your Sean Bouchard jersey.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, that'll be.
You have to bring in the good juju.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we will talk more tomorrow.
Yep.
Have a good one. Peace.
Take it easy.